Worth a shot. Hi, my name is Eric Jonas, and I'm up here with my co-founder, Vimal Balodia, and we're from a company called Prior Knowledge. And today we're launching a product we're calling Veritable. It's a predictive database. And so one of the challenges about being here is that, there's a lot of hype around a lot of things. And right now there's a tremendous amount of hype around data, right? In fact, really what there's hype around at the end of the day are databases. Right? And at the end of the day, databases are everywhere, right? Behind every application you use, from Facebook to your ATM, there's this entire database layer behind the scenes. And the amazing thing about databases is that they store, organize, and look up your data fantastically well, and they've been doing it for 30 years. It's an $80 billion industry. But you wouldn't necessarily call something that stores things and organizes them and looks them up when you want them really intelligent. In fact, we think databases are kind of stupid. And we thought, well, what if we actually made the database smarter? And that's what we're launching today. See, Veritable is a predictive database. So we took a bunch of machine learning that we developed and put it inside the database. Because once the database starts trying to learn and understand from your data, instead of just organizing it, everyone can start building amazing applications. And that's really the goal, right? Everyone build amazing things with their data. And the challenge about getting up here and talking about a particular piece of, in some sense, computing infrastructure is that it's hard to explain. It's literally behind the scenes. So we built a demo application on top of Veritable just to show you what's possible. So online dating is this active thing that everyone likes talking about a lot. I mean, we like to think of it as now big dating, right? And your database organizes your data in a table. What you're seeing on the right is the Veritable admin view showing a table of data for our online dating site. And each row represents a particular user here, right? So there are various things that you know about various rows. One of the challenges, though, about online dating is people don't always answer all of the questions. There's lots of missing gaps in your data. And so even for this user here, what you see on the left is his profile, where there's a lot of missing information. Now, admittedly, the data is stored in a database, in fact, a database. But what we'd like to be able to do is figure out, without having to jump through a lot of hoops, what actually is going on behind the scenes. So as Vimal moves the slider, what you're seeing right now is Veritable magically filling in the missing values, right? Veritable has built up and learned the underlying distribution in the data such that it can just fill in all the missing information. And in fact, the way it's doing this behind the scene, what you're seeing fly behind on the bottom of the screen there is a type of the language that you use to talk to Veritable. So most people who talk to databases use them via a language called SQL or SQL, right? Where they say select. They say, please select this property. Go find this piece of information for me. And we said, well, why don't we make that smarter? Why don't we let normal database users, normal developers, in fact, anyone who ever works with data, be able to just directly predict, right? And it's really that simple, right? The goal is to let these people just predict missing values from their data. In fact, do a lot more than that. And of course, this would be great if it only worked in an online dating context, because let's be clear, we all need help online dating. But it also works across a large number of other verticals. If you've measured a tremendous amount of information about patients via quantitative self or an electronic medical record, it's entirely possible to go through and then just fill in the missing values and even predict whether or not, based on some symptoms, someone's going to get the flu. If you know a lot about your user's product history, you can now go in and magically fill in the values and say, hey, look, this is how much of unit X I expect customer Y to purchase. Or even if you've measured a bunch of polling data, because guess what? You actually care about what's going to happen in the election. You can now magically fill this in. And that gets really exciting, right? I mean, we've seen people demo applications with intelligence up here today, but many of them had to go out and build that intelligence themselves. And it feels really kind of rate limiting to require a bunch of PhDs every time you want to build something cool. And that brings, one of the questions we have, everyone gets up here and says, I'm disrupting this, I'm disrupting that. What are we disrupting? We talk about this a lot in the office, and we're like, maybe what we're disrupting are databases. Because at the end of the day, all these databases that everyone's using are, maybe they're a little bit faster, maybe they organize things a bit better, but they're not actually intelligent, right? No one is actually trying to take this layer and fundamentally give it, and effectively give you, new capabilities. Or maybe what we're really disrupting are data scientists. Everyone's talking about these data science people, but the problem is right now, if you just have hacking skills and domain expertise, you're not a data scientist. You're in this danger zone. You have to know all this math and statistics to really do interesting things with your data. And so we're like, well, maybe what we're really disrupting then, at the end of the day, is math, right? We've built advanced non-parametric Bayesian statistics powered by Markov chain Monte Carlo so that you never have to worry about what the hell those words actually mean, right? And sometimes we joke that maybe we're the no math company, right? Because we know math, and so therefore there's no math in your life. But it finally dawned on us that what we're really disrupting are blanks, right? And so today, what we're doing is launching Veritable. It's both available as a cloud-hosted SaaS service as well as for private cloud deployments. And anyone right now, even in the audience, can go and start working with Veritable just like with any other database, putting in their data, and magically getting these kind of new capabilities immediately. And it hasn't escaped our notice that over and over again, we see this kind of trend of there being kind of hard problems where people throw more and more technical resources at it, more and more people, until you come up with the better abstraction. You kind of make the machines a little bit smarter. And then what happens is many, many, many more people are capable of doing totally awesome things. There's the $150 billion company out there called Oracle, but even though they're called Oracle, their products only tell you things you already know. And we think with Veritable, the future can be a lot smarter than that. Thank you. Questions?
Impressive, but I'm not sure we got.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Go on.
So impressive, but I'm not sure we understood what the hell you would sort of use this for. So can you give us a concrete example where someone who would actually use a data scientist would use prior knowledge?
So, for example, one of our early customers is a large retailer, and they would like to know, so they can offer coupons, whether or not how much someone is going to purchase over the next year. And we've shown them that, hey, look, using Veritable just based upon their first basket of goods, we can predict their annual customer value, right? Now, the way they would have traditionally done that, the way if you're Walmart you do that, is you throw a group of PhDs in a room someplace, like people like us, you chain them to the desk, and you make them solve this problem. But at the end of the day, most retailers aren't Walmart. Certainly most startups don't have access to that kind of talent. And so now that there's a smart layer, everyone can start doing things like that. They can start building those sorts of applications.
You take cohort data, and then you iterate around the different sort of variables, and you find sort of the predict.
Exactly. So in fact, for any sort of tabular data, we're capable of doing that. Exactly.
Okay.
So when you go pitch this to Walmart, who does the pitch? Who explains what it is that you're doing? Like, do you go talk to
so who are we talking to inside that organization?
Yeah.
I mean, it really depends. Often the CMOs are actually a great entry point, right? Because they often, I mean, we see this over and over again. There aren't enough of these data scientist people out there. So they're always like, look, here are the 20 problems I'd like to solve. I already employ 3 people, and they're only tackling the first 2 of those problems. If you have some layer that is going to be able to kind of either accelerate their development or just solve these problems for me a priori, that gets really exciting, and that's what they get excited about.
So you guys started this about 10 months ago. Was there sort of prior PhD work that you guys did?
I mean, yeah, so we were graduate students at MIT for way too long. Don't spend that much time in New England. I strongly discourage. The joke in the office is we have more MIT degrees than people. But so we had been working on this for a long time.
I want to ask something.
Yeah. I have no doubt you probably built something really cool. I still don't even understand what you built. Let me just say that this is the kind of company that doesn't lend itself well to a 6-minute pitch and some fake superficial questions I'm going to design for you. I don't get it. I'm not saying I don't get it as in this is not intelligent what you build or what. I just don't get it. I don't understand what you're doing to fill in the blanks and why I would do it. I would love to learn more about what you're actually doing offline where I can actually understand it.
Fantastic, great.
Did you understand it? Am I just dense?
Well,
yeah, I don't.
Okay, great. Have you ever had a spreadsheet of data? Have you used a spreadsheet?
I have used a spreadsheet.
You have used a spreadsheet, fantastic. Have there ever been columns in that spreadsheet where you maybe didn't know what the answer was? Because either, those people hadn't bought anything yet, or maybe they didn't fill out the answer to that survey.
So the bit about you filling in blank rows, I mean, I used to do database design. I get that.
Okay, great.
I don't get the how and how closely correlated with the right answers those are. And if I look at the data later, are you giving me a flag to say this is 85% probability of being right?
So in fact,
or
exactly. So things for exactly this sort of audience we kind of sweep under the rug include each of those answers that comes back actually comes back with a confidence interval. Because this happens a lot in the real world. Some people's data, honestly, is just crap. And if you put powerful technology in their hands that are then going to lead them astray, they're just going to shoot themselves in the foot. So you need to make sure when you're giving people these answers, you can say, dang it, I believe that this answer is correct. Or honestly, having looked at all of your data, we actually don't think that there's anything something interesting here. We can't predict this particular value. And part of what we spent kind of all that horrible machine learning slavery time doing is actually learning how to make that happen. Like, the reason you can't just take off-the-shelf methods and throw them in normal people's hands is because that's exactly what they'll do. They'll be like, how do I trust this answer? I don't know. Or they won't even ask that question, and then they'll, go buy 10,000 Furbies, and, Furbies are kind of an old thing.
I have just a simple suggestion. So in your company, how many of you are there?
There are currently 7.
37?
Currently 7.
7, okay. And are you all engineers?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's probably the problem. I would say...
Well, I mean, so to be clear, no, and I'm going to cut you off there. I'm going to cut you off there.
Don't get me wrong. No, let me explain what I'm saying, right? I believe if you're building a company, it's good to have a balance of business, creative, and engineering at the table when they're creating a product, right?
On one hand, I would completely agree. On the other hand, when we think about what it means to build truly disruptive technology, the hard part is actually in the technology part. There are many ways you can imagine us going forward and productizing this. And that's why, in some sense, the reason you raise seed money is to de-risk the technology, which is entirely what we've done.
Understood. And don't take it as a hit or anything like that. It's not. I'm just saying, I think it would be good to balance it out.
No, I think that's entirely true. I mean, as we look forward to growing, for example, people were interested in pulling into the team. That said, maybe the right answer for us would have been to go out and just tell people we could do this before it really existed. That's not quite what we were interested in doing. That's not why Peter Thiel invested in us.
Let me see if I can see it a little differently, because I was going to say, Mark's sentiments were right. I think there's a lot here, but it's not one of those 6 minutes. I get it. It'd be explore more. But I think if I were going to pick up on what Rahul said, I look at this, and I think you said this earlier, it looks like the pain point might be felt by the CMO, but the person who's going to pay for it may be somebody else, and the person who understands how hard it is the engineer. And whenever you get a business model where 3 different people, the one person's saying, just make this happen, the other one's saying, why am I paying so much, and the third person's saying, you have no idea how hard this is a tough business model.
Oh, exactly, and we're well aware of that.
It's a complex enterprise.
But that said, I mean, the people we're really trying to target are developers, are people who are ultimately, at the end of the day, writing software, and especially the people we're interested in reaching in the audience are the people who have good ideas for applications and would like them to be smarter. The longer-term take over the world enterprise sales trajectory, that's really unknown, right? That's things we need to work on, we need to do customer development with. That's entirely true. But if you're out there and you've ever written a line of PHP or SQL, please go to our website.
All right. So unfortunately, we're out of time. I thought it was really cool. All right. So that's prior knowledge. Thank you guys very much.
Fantastic. Thank you.